When I walked out of this movie, I had only one thought. This is the most Disney movie that has ever Disney movied. I'm not particularly impressed by Asha. Sure, she's the 2010s era Disney quirky princess trope, and that's in the forefront. Though she doesn't act like it throughout the movie, the problem I have with her being the quirky princess trope is that she doesn't have much else to go on. Anna had her relationship with Elsa to contrast the quirky princess characterization. Rapunzel came from a place of isolation. Asha is just generally well adjusted and somewhat normal. King Magnifico is delightfully hammy, and Chris Pine is really enjoying himself in the role. The problem with King Magnifico is that Disney forgot how to write a good Disney villain. You see, Magnifico begins the movie already on top of the world. He's a king who feeds his own vanity. The problem is that he doesn't come off as the great schemers like the ones in the past do. Scar desired the throne, Ursula wanted to become ruler of the seas. Frollo was basically dictatorial ruler of Paris at the start, similar to Magnifico being the immortal god emperor essentially. But Frollo had a different ambition. He had a lust for Esmeralda and genocidal megalomania. Magnifico really doesn't have any ambition besides securing his own position. Now, that could be a compelling story in and of itself, but the movie really doesn't articulate that very well at all. The film is also chock full of callbacks and references to other Disney properties, which doesn't intrigue me as much as it should. When you make references in a good film, it brings me joy. In a mediocre or bad film, it really doesn't. It just reminds me of other stories that are just better and more enjoyable than the one I'm currently watching. It honestly felt like they were too busy paying homage that they forgot to have its own identity for Wish. In contrast, works like House of Mouse forged its own identity while still doing plenty of parodies and homages to other Disney films. Kingdom Hearts has its own identity despite integrating Disney films into the plot. Dubiously, I may add. Speaking of dubious integrations, let's talk about the music. No, I'm not talking about Kingdom Hearts music. I wish I was. The soundtrack of Wish is honestly unsatisfactory. I'm not a music expert, but the use of slant rhymes and dubious choices of the lyrics do not do this movie any favors. A friend of mine I was watching with this said that it sounds like the songs were written based on the formula of musical theater, but not by people who have experience in musical theater. And it turns out she was right. The songwriters were pop writers, not theater writers. Look, I'm not saying all pop music is bad or that it's inherently bad to have pop music writers in a Disney film. I generally hold that stories are the sum of their parts. Just because one part is really good does not mean it goes well with the other parts. Likewise, if you poorly integrate the music in a musical, which this movie is, the quality of the music and the story and the movie itself goes down, and that's the problem we run into. It's just sad that Wish is just a painful mediocrity and a somewhat shallow parody of what Disney is. And honestly, I think their actual parodies like House of Mouse would be so much better on the big screen than whatever this was. But those are just my thoughts. Please consider liking, subscribing, tipping the channel on Ko-fi. This is Cyril signing off.